Hi guys, how you guys doing? I'm back with another video about dental school admissions. So, so far I'm currently in the interview process. I've interviewed at 5 schools so far. I have another one coming in January. So I've had some decent amount of exposure to the interview process by now, and I think I have some golden nuggets that I could share. So first off, I'm going to be sharing some questions, some questions that people can use to practice interviews. I'm gonna write it on the information section for this video. There's going to be around, I don't know, like probably like 50 plus questions that I'll be writing. So hopefully that will help a lot of people. So I use these questions to basically practice out loud by myself. I would first write down answers to each question. Um, just go through all the questions and write the answers down, and go through them again, um, and kind of say them out loud, and see if it's coherent and if it like makes sense, and to see if it's like too long or too short, or to see if it's not captivating enough, or if it's too maybe it's sometimes inappropriate. Um, so yeah, I'll just go through this process of writing, practicing, and editing. And by the time you've done it a couple times, you'll be pretty familiar with what you want to say with each question. Um, so I think the best way to prepare for interviews is just like this: just anticipate questions and just practice the hell out of it. Honestly, there's a lot of advice out there that tell people that um, the best way to do interviews is to just be yourself and just relax. So I think that works for certain people, but for people who are anxious about interviews, like me, who don't really handle the pressure that well, they tend to. I think people like us, we benefit a lot more from um, actual solid preparation, um, and feeling sort of confident about our responses. I think that's where the confidence comes from. Like you feel like you are pretty familiar with what you're gonna say already, so you feel like there's less things you have to make on the fly and less things you have to hide. So you don't feel like you don't feel exposed, if you know what I'm saying. So I think best way to some sort of overcome that feeling is to just have a huge bank of answers at the back of your head and practice hell out of it to the point where you're so familiar with it, to the point where you can just give a fucking lecture on just interviews on why you become a dentist. You should be able to give like a 30-minute lecture on why you want to become a dentist. So I think that's going to be the best way to prepare for interviews. Or maybe I'm just overdoing it, but I think it's just for me always over preparing never failed me. Over preparing was the best way for me. Um, as the saying goes, don't be a good test taker, be an expert. Okay, so uh, what else? Okay, so in terms of like the interviews that I've done so far, um, it definitely varies. Definitely varies. So one piece of advice that I'll definitely share with you guys is after you have maybe like a pretty relaxed experience at a school interview, like the interviewer didn't grill you. It was very conversational. He probably asked like one question, like "Tell me about yourself." You guys kind of went on tangents and talked about like the location, sports, I don't know, food, music, or whatever he or she is into, and it was very conversational, and you felt relaxed. So you're like, oh wow, like, I, what the dental students have been telling me was, sure, just be relaxed, it'll be conversational, everything will be okay. And sure, that interview went okay, but it's not always that way. Um, I've had 2 interviews out of 5 that legitimately asked me questions back to back, and they're not really they're not necessarily straightforward enough questions that you can just immediately just think of a good answer on the fly. So I think I got 2 questions that were ethical questions, um, and a few questions that are very broad in implication that it definitely like made me stop and sort of think about it. All the questions that I've gotten, plus the ones I've researched, will be on the information section. So make sure you guys have a look. But my point is here, which is just because you did well in this one interview, don't get so don't get so relaxed and not prepare as much for the next one. Always expect the worst. That's what I will say. Always expect the worst. Always expect that the interviewer will grill you. Okay? Don't hope that it'll be conversational. Because if you don't practice enough, and sometimes you get hit with this question out of the blue, you might just freeze, and that anxiety will just freeze you, and you don't want that to happen. And always expecting the worst makes you prepare for the worst, so you're always prepared. So yeah, like I think just hope, wishful thinking, and just hoping in general as an emotion is not that helpful. Not saying you should be negative necessarily, but just specifically hoping and wishful thinking, that specific emotion, I think it can be pathological because reality is oftentimes harsher than it seems. And hope just kind of brings you higher for the eventual fall. Whereas expecting things to go sideways will sort of mentally prepare you and also force you to prepare for that side effect, right? So yeah, make sure to expect all the questions and make sure to prepare for them. Make sure you have some kind of answer bank at the back of your head that you can say without looking at what you type up. You can say comfortably, just out of pure recalling. So there's that. And but this obviously doesn't mean you should be anxious during the entire time during the interview. So I think there's a good balance. There's a good balance between positivity and sort of negativity, I guess. Pessimism in the fact that the questions will inevitably be hard, and you have to prepare for it. But positive in the fact that the interview, if you take a step back and look sort of think about it in terms of the admissions perspective, the interview is only there. They like you already. They love your paper. They love you on paper. They just want to make sure that you're a normal human being. They just want to make sure you can talk normally. That's it. So you should go there with a sense of confidence because you've already been selected, probably like 300 students out of 2,000 students. So you're pretty up there, and they really like you. So go in with that positive mindset because it is true. It is true. And be confident. Be confident and be positive. Have a very sort of chill, relaxed conversation with your peers. But at the back of your mind, expect a hard interview. That's a good balance that I'm trying to get across. So there's that. And and generally the interviews went well for me. I've had one interview that was kind of bad because I had a really easy interview prior to that, so I thought it would be the same on the next interview. Turned out it was back-to-back thoughtful questions. So that one was mediocre. But thanks to that experience, it made me over-prepare for the rest of the interviews that I had, and I did well on those. So yeah, always a good lesson learned. I don't know. And I guess, yeah, make sure to prepare questions to ask students and faculty. The questions you'll ask students will be more personal. The questions that are more, maybe not appropriate to ask a faculty, but it's okay to ask a student because they're more approachable. Like for example, like what are the bad sides of, in your opinion, what could be better about this school? Or like, do you actually have a really hard time getting complex cases because all the residents take it or something like that? These are like questions that you might be uncomfortable asking the faculty, but you can still find out through students. So prepare questions for both students and faculty. Um, um, and I don't know. I guess that's about it. I guess the interviews, there's not much to it. It's only about 4 hours, I think. So, um, and bring like some kind of a, I guess I usually bring a resume with me, and I bring like a little folder. I put it in like a transparent folder. You can bring whatever folder you want. Like some people even bring like these leather packets, which are really fancy, but you don't have to go that fancy. It's not about like how you. It's okay. How you present yourself is important, but what's most important is how you talk. So, and your demeanor. So, um, yeah, I guess that's about it. The review process is not like that. There's not that much to it. You just prepare, just like you prepare any tests or any sort of oral presentation. Just prepare, um, but don't prepare. Okay, but don't prepare it in such a way that you memorize things word for word. Okay, and I think a good way to, because you don't want to sound like a robot, right? So I think a good way to avoid that is start by writing out the entire response, and then read it a couple times, and then try to say it out loud without looking, right? Have bullet points in your head, right? About the different topics that you'll talk about within your answer. So you don't like repeat things word for word. And really be expressive and get into the emotion of the response. Because when you associate emotion with a topic, you remember it better. Um, yeah, that's about it. I don't want to make this video too long, so best of luck in your interviews coming forward, and whoever's going through right now, best of luck to us, and hopefully we finish strong. And whoever's watching this to prepare for the next cycle, props to you. You guys are killing it. You guys are preparing way early on. You guys are preparing a whole year before the interview, so I applaud you. You guys will definitely do well. So and in addition to the list of questions that I provide in the information section below, if you guys have any other unique questions that you guys got or you guys think might be pretty helpful, please leave it in the comment section below. As I said before in my last video, I want to facilitate conversation to really help dissect each topic in dental admissions. For example, in this case, interview, dissect it down to the core so that we can really, really maximize our tips and advice and influence on other prospective students. So yeah, if anyone has like any tips on like body language, tonality, or facial expressions, or reading the faculty's facial expression and body language and all that, that is also very critical for interview. So please share; it'll be very helpful. And as always, best of luck, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I helped you guys. And yeah, best of luck, I guess. Peace out.